today to give a tutorial on handstand and give you some tips on how you can build up towards being able to achieve the handstand. Now, handstands, of all the aversions, they're so much fun and they're really energizing and they give good bone density in the upper body. But they're also one of the hardest to master because the surface area of your foundation is very small. It's only your two hands, whereas in a forearm balance or headstand, you've got a lot more surface area to work with, so the foundation is more stable. So we're going to be looking at ways to increase the stability of foundation today. The same as with other inversions, you need to have a good core, which provides a nice, strong central axis that you can stay steady with. Once you've created your foundation, you're nice and strong. You need to have long hamstrings to make it safe getting in and out of the pose. You need to have open armpits and some arm strength. Now, with the handstand, you need a little bit more arm strength than with some of the others because, again, you are really fully engaging those arms in a pushing action, and you need to be able to hold your body weight on the arms. Unlike the legs, not only are they smaller, but they're not as conditioned to holding your body weight in the inverted position. So we're going to look at building the arm strength, and we're also going to look at moving energy. So that's one of the secrets that we have in yoga, is not that we can just create the right function with our body, but that we can move energy down to the earth, and we can feel the reciprocal energy move away from the earth. We work with this principle quite a lot, that when there's something moving in one direction, there's often something moving in the opposite direction as well, just like drawing a bow. But in this case, it's that pressing down into the earth and something lifting away from the earth and upwards. And this is our secret in yoga of how we manage to work with inversions safely and make them light and easy and manageable on the physical structure. So we're going to begin today with working energy. Now, Phyo's going to come to Tadasana, which is just a simple posture, standing with feet together, hands a little away from the body, spine is long, neck is soft and long, chin gently inwards, and eyes can be closed. Now, the most important part of this is being able to use the breath to create the structure of the pose so that the muscles can relax. So breathing into the belly and the heart, whole body breathing in. And on the exhale, as the navel comes in, sending energy down through those feet and from the pelvic floor up through the crown, and the crown extending upward with the spine lengthening. Relaxing and breathing in, whole body breathing in. And on the exhale, sending that breath down into the earth. And you're really letting your mind follow that breath. Where the feet press into the earth, you can feel not only the action of pressing down, but the equal and opposite action of the sternum lifting, the spine lengthening, and the crown extending towards the sky. And we build on that by consciously sending the breath through the crown at the same time as we send it down. So breathing in, belly, heart, whole body breathe in. And on the exhale, as navel comes in, sending breath down, Uddana to the earth, upwards, Apana, the other way around. Uddana upwards, Apana downwards to earth, and Uddana upwards to the sky. And we are sending the energy in the direction that we wanted to. So we're not heavy on the earth, and we're not losing our grounding either. The second thing we're going to look at, Phyo can now relax, is hamstrings. So hamstrings, although they don't make a lot of difference when we're actually in the pose, getting in and out of the pose can be greatly released. It can be a help or it can be a hindrance if you've got long or short hamstrings. Now, how do we know what short hamstrings are? Let's have a look in Tiger and Cat. So the hamstrings go from roughly behind the crease of the knee to the tip of the ischium, the sitting bone. And when we inhale and look up in Tiger, you can see that the sitting bones turn up And there's quite a lot of length between the sitting bone and the back of the knee. It's a nice lot of length there. But as we exhale and draw the navel in, moving into cat, we can see that the tip of the sitting bones moves down and the space between the sitting bone and the back of the knee is shortened. Now, some people, if they have short hamstrings, their body is almost locked into this position, which can make it very, very difficult to come up into an inversion safely and without disturbing or destabilising the foundation. So Phyo's going to tuck his toes under and walk forward, maintaining this tuck position as if he had short hamstrings. And he can see it's quite difficult. There's going to be a lot of distance for him to cover, to take those legs up and to get the hips up over the wrists. But when he walks in, when he releases that and allows himself to come to his normal hamstring length, you can see he can get in much closer. He can lean into, press into the hands, raise the sitting bones, and then it becomes very easy and natural to just press into the hands and come up into the handstand. And he breathes all the way. Very, very nice. Now he can come down, and we're going to look at a way of how we can lengthen your hamstrings. Now there are many ways to do this. Any forward bends with straight legs, but the one we're going to do today is a modified version of Uttanasana against the wall. Uttanasana, standing forward bend. So normally we'll see what it looks like when we come to the end of this pose, but this is one of the common poses that we use to try and lengthen hamstrings. Feet underneath the hips. Now at this point you want to be able to do the tiger and cat movement with your pelvis. So you want to be able to turn the sitting bones up and down. So moving the pelvis up and down. And when you see when Phyo tilts his pelvis so that the sitting bones extend upwards like tiger, you can see how much more length the hamstrings have got in this position. And when he draws in and tucks under, you can see the hamstrings shortening. So we're going to bring him to a point where he's turning those sitting bones up and he's going to stay there. Now the head, the shoulders can relax if the focus is on the sitting bones turning up and breathing with that stretch sensation in the hamstrings. Now if you are very flexible, you don't need to stay up on the wall. You can walk your hands further down the wall. You can place them on the mat in front of you, a little bit further away from the body, but you must be able to get this tiger and cat movement in the pelvis. So he's going to show you again tiger and cat movement. So he's got the tiger and now moving into cat. He can get that movement through his pelvis, turning the sitting bones up now so that he gets the stretch in the hamstrings. Because Phyo is comfortable with this full pose, he's going to now walk his hands in and just hold the elbows. Walk the hands to the feet and just hold the elbows in Uttanasana, relaxing there. Now letting the spine be nice and long. The trick with lengthening hamstrings is about staying in the pose long enough for them to lengthen. Turning those sitting bones up, and as an experienced student he can also press down with the heels and wide, which will turn the sitting bones up even more. And because the body uses a mechanism called reciprocal inhibition, when he now engages the quad muscles, the hamstrings will release even a little bit further. Now the idea of spending time in this pose is not just time as in weeks and months, but actual time when you do the pose. So if you can stay in this pose for 2 minutes, you will really help your hamstrings lengthen as quickly as they can. So fast movement is not what the hamstrings are about. Hamstrings help us to cultivate patience and consistency. But over time, as you spend 2 minutes a day in this pose, at whatever level is good for your body, that you can turn those sitting bones up and stay there and breathe into the belly, you spend 2 minutes there. Now we're going to come out, so he's going to bend the legs, sink the hips and uncurl, coming all the way up. So if you want a couple more hamstring lengthening practices, you can look at the headstand video and also ask your teacher for more activity to lengthen the hamstrings. But for now, we're going to come to the core exercise. So laying on the ground, head towards the wall. This is my absolute favourite core exercise. It helps to activate the core along the front of the body so that you can really get that nice, strong core all the way in the front of the spine, and this helps to protect the spine but also create that strong central axis. So he's going to raise his legs up to 90 degrees, then chin in, curl the head off, and then curl the shoulders off and reach the hands forward. And now he's going to use one hand to press under his kidneys and make sure that there is no gap, no way for his fingers to get underneath. And if there is a gap, he has to roll his shoulders up more or curl the pubic bone in more and flatten out that kidney region. Now, of course, if he's comfortable there, he can take a moment and then, keeping that kidney flat to the ground, he can take the feet away from him just a little bit. Still keeping the pubic bone curled, and then he breathes there. And if he can still keep the kidney flat to the ground, he can lower the legs a little bit more. And he's going to check the kidney each step of the way. Yep, still flat. And then he can go a little bit more, checking that it's still flat. And if it is, he can go as far as he can, maintaining that flatness in the kidney, and stay there. And then bringing those legs up to 90 degrees and having a relax. Good. You can relax either holding the knees or just with the feet on the ground and bent legs. Taking good breath, inhale, and good releasing sigh and sound. Good. Now, I recommend that you build up to being able to hold it at 90 degrees for 20 breaths first, and then do 3 rounds. Then, when you're comfortable there, you can start to take your legs out, but not in one session. So over time, perhaps you take them out 2 centimetres per week, but always making sure that that kidney is flattened to the ground so you're protecting that lumbar spine. Now, some people do have neck and shoulder tension, so there is another option. He's going to take his legs back up to 90 degrees. This time placing the hands underneath the buttocks, palms down. So this helps to keep the tailbone curled up and the pubic bone curled in. And now he's going to lower his legs by sending energy through those legs, lowering down, sending energy through. And when he's got to his maximum, where if he feels the lower back starting to lift off or become light, he stops and then slowly brings them back up again. Now, over time, he may be able to get the feet further and further down. He may even be able to get them further down today. I think he can. I have a feeling that he can. Maybe even all the way just off the floor. Still keeping that pubic bone curled in and the kidneys flat towards the floor and bringing that leg back up again. So this is another core exercise you can do. Again, building up over time your strength. And he can have a relax now. You can do 3 rounds of 10 of that one, or 3 rounds of 20 as you build up. So the next action, while Phyo's resting, I'm going to explain the next lot of action that we're going to do is looking at our arm action and our strength. So Phyo's going to come up and he's going to come into a pose that looks like the Uttanasana again. But actually it's not Uttanasana. This time it's about opening the armpits. So the hips are over the feet, the hands are on the wall, waist height. And here he's breathing, and on the inhale, into the belly and into the heart, he's pressing the hands into the wall and he's drawing those hips back away from the hands, into the middle of the room. So hips draw back to the middle of the room, and it's all about getting openness in those armpits, but not pushing the chest down. So you're basically imagining that the hands are glued to the wall and you're drawing those hips back away. You might even need to walk your feet back a tiny bit to get more extension, drawing those hips away and creating length, opening up those armpits. And you stay there for as long as you possibly can, drawing those hips into the room and letting the armpits just open over time of their own accord. Now you can stay in this for a minute, even up to 2 minutes, but when you come out, please bend your legs first, then walk into the wall, walk towards the wall with your feet too, and then coming up. Because even though it looks like a simple pose, it actually has quite a strong action opening up those armpits. Now the next pose is dog pose. Every time that you do dog pose, it helps your handstand. So we got the same action that we just did in the armpit opening Uttanasana variation. And that is that as you press down into the floor, the hips draw away from the hands and creating length, and the armpits naturally open. Beautiful. See that action that he just did? That was just perfect. So pressing those hands down and forward, lifting those hips away, and you're getting that natural opening. You're just staying there. And the other beautiful thing is that you're activating the hands in the same way that you would in a handstand. The center of the palm is spreading down into the floor and opening up, and all the fingers are extending and spreading out, and you're maximizing that surface area. Now if you can, you also use your imagination, and as you breathe in and then when you breathe out, you send energy down into those hands. You visualize that it hits the center of the palm, which is almost like a mini sun in the center of your palm, and then it spreads and radiates out through the fingers and out beyond the fingers, so that your surface area begins to get very, very long. Now, just a little way to come into down dog. I'm going to get Phyo to demonstrate. He's going to come down to all fours, as in tiger and cat. And this time I'm going to get him to lean forward so that his shoulders go over the fingers and he can feel that weight into the hands. And when he presses the hands forward, his hips go back to his heels into child. And it's because of the pressure of the hands forward that his hips are moving back. So he's going to do that a couple of times, just taking the hips back towards the heels. And as he does it, it's because of the weight into the hands and pressing the hands forward that those hips move back. Now this time round, the only difference is he's going to tuck the toes, and as he presses the hands forward, instantly he's back in down dog. And because he's done it in this way, he's got nice, strong frame in those arms, the shoulders can relax, the palms have got the weight into them, and it's easy to get that action of the hands and the strength in the arms. So this is also a good way to come into down dog if you tend to have shoulder troubles, niggling shoulder troubles. It's much more stable on the shoulder joint because you're activating the arms first and you're coming in a nice symmetrical way. So Phyo is going to now, if you want some more, have a little rest. Phyo can have a rest. And if you want some more armpit opening techniques, again, our headstand workshop goes through forearm dog and also forearm balance, which creates even more opening in those armpits. Now you're ready for the walk up the wall handstand. So you're going to sit against the wall with your feet out in front of you. Oh, that'll do. Sorry, sit with the feet against the wall and sit away from the wall. Now where his hips are, that's where his hands are going to be placed, facing away from the wall. Then big step up the wall, and he's going to push into the feet, which come up about hip height. So just a little bit higher, Phyo, tiny bit higher. And now he's in a nice L shape. He pushes the legs straight and his hips are above the shoulders and above the hands. Now he's gone into the action without me because he doesn't like to wait in the action where the hips drop, but I'm going to get him to drop again just a little bit. Now the important action is that you press into the hands and draw those hips away from the earth, just like you did in the down dog, just like you did in the armpit opening exercise. These are all the same actions that we're seeing. Pressing down into the earth with the hands and lifting up and away with the hips. Now when you can comfortably stay there for at least 1 minute, you're ready for the next part of handstand. So Phyo can come down and have a little relax. Now we're going to try kicking up the wall. And this is where you're going to find that your long hamstrings are going to be very, very useful. So when Phyo's ready, he's going to come up and place his hands down facing the wall, just maybe a hand's width away, not too far away from the wall. He comes up and he walks in fairly close, and he wants to be able to come up onto his, not too close, so because he does need a little bit of room to move into it and come up onto the toes. And one leg is going to be his swinging leg and one leg is going to be lightly pushing. So I'm going to get him to just bend and lightly jump off that bottom leg without coming up too high. Just a light jump, just a couple of light jumps. That's it. Just lightly jumping. Good. Now, what a lot, and change sides, and do this on both sides. So get used to this jumping action. And what you're seeing is that the hips naturally go over the wrists, and it's very light and easy for Phyo as he hangs forward and has a little relax. Now what happens is a lot of people try to get their feet up to the wall and they forget about those hips, especially if the hamstrings are short and the hips are away from the wall, then more away from the wall than when the hamstrings are long. So if the hips are further away and you try to kick up, you end up in a back arch. So you're kicking up and you're trying to get those feet to the wall, but can't get up there and really try to get your feet to the wall, Phyo, but let your hips stay forward. It's really, really hard to get your hips up above the wrists while your hamstrings are engaged and your pelvis is in the wrong direction. So once you've got comfortable with that kicking action, you're now going to walk over the hands, lightly use that kicking action, but think about your sacrum getting to the wall. So as you kick up, push your sacrum to the wall and let the legs follow up, all the way up. Good. Stay there for a few breaths, pushing into those hands, opening those armpits, and you can lightly come down. Just coming down for now. That's it. Beautiful. And now you're going to kick up on the other side. So you always make sure you can kick up on both sides. Constantly using one side will build imbalance into your body. So make sure you can kick up with both sides equally as well. And coming back down. I'll give Phyo a little rest. As you can see, Phyo's coming down beautifully and lightly under control. So now we're going to talk a little bit about that control. Control comes from a few different things. It comes from being able to press into the hands, drawing through the navel and activate the bandha, which is the lift of the pelvic floor, drawing up and in with the pelvis in the right position. It's very natural to have the bandha action, and when the core is good, it's very natural to have that. Now, when you're coming down, the legs tend to be quite heavy, and we can often let the legs fall and we lose that nice core action. So we're going to show you how to come down, not lose that core action. So he's going to kick up. Nice. Now when you're coming down, you're going to keep one leg reaching for that wall, reaching for the ceiling and back towards the wall for as long as you can. When you get to that point where it feels like that back heel is coming off, start to let it, but keep it reaching back. Keep it reaching back. Press into the hands and keep reaching back with that leg as you come down. Beautiful. And change and try with both sides. Again, you're trying to practice equally with both sides. So keeping that other leg to the wall, keeping it up there, almost like it's glued there. And you're pressing into those hands, reaching up through that top leg, navel is in, and pressing into those hands, lightly coming down. Very, very nice. Hang forward, relax. Good. Now there is another way to come down, but when you are trying to cultivate control, when you're trying to develop control in the inversions, it's actually easier to do on the way down than it is going up. So when you're going up, you're trying to drag those legs up with you, but once the legs are already up, you're just trying to stop them from falling forward. Now the other way that you can try practicing this is kicking up and coming down with both legs. So some people prefer one leg at a time. I like one leg at a time because it really cultivates that capacity to send action through both legs. And other people prefer coming down, drawing that navel into the spine and bending the legs, letting those hips hang back towards the wall,
It's not natural for Phyo to do it like this. He usually does it freestanding, but we're just going to get him to imagine he's freestanding now, and the hips back towards the wall as the knees start to come. So he's pinning his navel to the wall as the knees start to come down. Very good. And he cultivates that over time. The idea is to come down as slowly as you can. As slowly as you can, keeping that navel glued to the wall. Obviously, it's not the navel that's literally at the wall, but it's the action of the navel moving back to the wall that helps you stay with your bandha activated and in control. So now that we've got some control in our practice, we are finally ready for the main event. Now, this is a practice that will give you make a huge difference to your capacity to do handstand and to the strength in your arms. And I call it the handstand push-up. I don't think I'm the only one, but that's how I know it. So we're kicking up into a handstand, and we're close enough to the wall that we can stay with our feet on the wall. Now, you start slowly, simply by bending your elbows just a centimetre or two and then pushing into the arms and straightening again. Centimetre or two and then straightening. Now, over time, as you get more comfortable, you bend your elbows a little bit more and straighten, a little bit more and straighten using your exhale. That's it, good. And when you're really, really strong, you can try coming all the way down and kiss the floor. I don't know if we're going to do it today or not. We might or we might not. He's been working hard. Nearly there. And good. That's good. And then slowly coming down and have a rest. Good. Well done. So that's a very, very strong practice. But you start small, as I said, just by 2 or 3 centimetres at a time. When you can comfortably do 10 push-ups, then you go a bit lower. And when you can comfortably do 10, say maybe in a week or 2, you go a bit lower. And it might take quite a while to build up to being able to take the lips down to the floor, but once you do, you'll be able to do almost anything that you want to do in handstands. It's a really, really powerful practice to do. So just to finish off, we're going to give Phyo the freedom just to show you what handstand can look like. When you come into it, he'll come in any way that he wants. And you'll notice his balance changing. As the feet go further behind, as the ribs come in, the feet can extend up to the ceiling. The more he pushes into the hands, the more feet extend upwards. And he's using his eyes as the third point of focus to give him a stronger, more broader surface area for the foundation. And he can come down anytime he wants. Under beautiful control. And before he relaxes completely, we're going to say thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email the centre, yoga88@goldcoastyogacentre.com, for any questions about this practice or any practice. Namaste.